This afternoon, we want to talk about the ballot or the bullet. We have a fight that's common to all of us. The ballot or the bullet. Ballot or the bullet. Ballot, bullet. The ballot or the bullet. Ballot or the bullet. Bullet. Ballot. And until we become politically mature, we will always be misled, led astray.
Now let's move to the second half of this. And then after Jay, Jai, and Jasima, Jay, Cuya, and Jasima go through go through theirs. We're gonna close out the show with Big Brother T, the granddaddy of Grand Boulevard, letting us know letting us know his situation, and that we spoke about with his mother. But we got so Jay, if you don't mind, can you tell us, give us the backstory of what it was where you were forcibly absent from your children's life?
It's really hard for me. I know I just was rattling off the questions. You know, my two brothers know me. They might have to help me through this, because for me, the true backstory exists with my childhood.
Yes, sir.
You know, people have dreams of being basketball players. They have dreams of being, pro athletes, doctors.
Somebody famous or notable.
Yeah. You know, my dream, first and foremost, I can remember was, I wanted to be a pilot. You know what I mean? I love planes. People probably don't know that. But second, I just wanted to be a dad.
Yeah.
And that people who know me, they know that. Like, my dreams was to be a father. And maybe that was irresponsible, because, it wasn't about whether or not I would be able to procure a certain lifestyle for my children, but I wanted to be a father. And I, unlike everybody on this line, grew up with a father the entire way until he departed physically in 2001. And it was because of him that I wanted to be a father. We didn't agree all the time. Of course we not. But even through the fighting, me becoming a rebellious teenager, I still seen what he was doing. And the most ingenious thing that I could say about my father was that he was like a mathematician with me. He knew exactly the amount of pounds that I could not carry. And it's the one thing, even with my son, that it's the one gift that I don't have. You know what I mean? Like, he knew what to do. He because I was there. You know, when I came out, he was right there and I was with him. You know, so that's where the story starts for me. You know, everything starts with my mom and my dad. Those who are close to me know not only how I feel for my mother and father, but what I think of them, what I think about the raising, what I think about the rudimentary or fundamental baseline that I started from.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's where it starts. So my concept, my vision in life was to be a dad because of that. So that's the story. I went through a real rough time. To be honest, if I'm gonna come down the middle, I went through a time where it was the first time specifically dealing with relationships because I had lost my job. I had lost, I just suffering loss. Like it was like my father used to say, you know, you can't kill nothing and won't nothing die.
Right.
So I made some decisions that I normally would not make. I started to
Go.
uh,
Go.
appease women. I started to, you know, just not be the person, you know, who I was. And because of that, you know, I thought I was like too hard on women and all type of stuff. Like because of that, I got 2 women like pregnant at the same time. You know what I mean? So this is where it starts. So that's the backstory, right? We could get into it in the questions whether or not what transpired between the mother of Jasima and Jacuya doing questions or whatever, but I'm asked to speak to my experience. I just wanted to give that as a back sort of a background. Well, I went through a lot of things, you know, as a child, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned especially when you growing up in a house with a man such as my father, you learn how to heal. You learn how to not take things personal, right? You learn humility. You learn that your anger ain't the real angry. Like I could be angry, but I gotta learn how to humble myself because like my anger is not as fierce as my father's anger. So I learned how to self-protect. I learned how to deal with my emotions without suppressing them. I don't feel a need to ever suppress my emotions, but that doesn't mean I feel the need to show my emotions in a way in which people can recognize them. So it's hard for me to speak to the way I felt in that moment, but I can say I was without my children for 9 years. So imagine growing up wanting to be a father. Now you have this opportunity and 2 of your children are just ripped away from you for 9 years. I had to learn how to heal. Well, I healed. I knew how to heal. I leaned on Lamar.
Yes, sir.
I
Yes.
leaned on my sisters. I leaned on my mother. I leaned on my main man, Norman.
Right.
I knew how to lean. I knew exactly how to lean. Whenever I got off balance, I hit Shauna. Whenever I got off balance, I hit Lamar. I knew how to do it. That helped me keep my balance. But what my father used to tell me was, what the fuck are you crying for? All right, if you feel like you gotta cry, cry. but don't let your emotions overflood to the point you can't do what's needed to be done. So for every moment that I was not with my children, I was imagining, I was dreaming, I was writing, right? I was crying, I was listening to music, I was strategizing. I didn't have the time to beat their mother up. I didn't have the time to say this B word ain't shit. I didn't have the time to do that because the time was to make what was right, what needed to be right. So I immersed myself even heavier in activism along with my brother.
Yes, sir.
Coaching,
That's right.
mentorship,
Yes, sir.
reading, like I said, strategizing. You know, to the point one day I received a phone call. The phone call was from my sister telling me that my children had been found. And all throughout that time period, I bought a home with 6 bedrooms in it. When it was just me, my wife, and my daughter before my youngest son came. 6. Because I knew that was a point of strategy that if my babies ever needed me,
That's right.
I would have the room to not, you know, make my oldest child feel a certain way by people being in her space.
Right.
The vehicle that I bought was a van that will seat at least 8 to 10 people. When it was just me, my wife, and my oldest child, because it was about preparation. I was not going to fumble the bag, if you will, and I don't speak about not money, fumble the opportunity to be there for my children like I did with losing my children.
Yes, sir.
That was my experience of being without them. Jasira, who's my oldest, I would say like Lamar, Jalen, I poured everything into her. The void that she would fulfill, I didn't believe it could be done, but it was. It was. I gave her everything. And I don't mean materialistic. I mean everything. You know, and you know, Lamar and T, they can speak to it. I'm talking about dancing. I'm talking about fashion shows. I'm talking about wrestling. I'm talking about teaching how to swim. I'm talking everything because that's what I wanted to be in the first motherfucking place.
Yes,
And the
sir.
fact that she gave me that opportunity. To see what people don't understand, I told you I spoke a loss. I didn't have a nickel to my name.
Right.
So when my babies came, that was the job I had. Because at a certain point in time, I did feel less than a man. But when I had the children, I was like, it's man up time. And then for those kids to be taken away, it was like, oh, shit. So now I only have Jasira left. And she reaped the benefits of that. You know, she learned how to write when she was 3. I wasn't working, but daddy was working. I didn't have a place of employment, but daddy was working. She learned how to read when she was 4, right? We wasn't sending nobody to no daycare. It's daddy care. That's what time it was, because that's what I wanted to do in the first place. And so that is my story. I can't speak of the frustration because I spent so much time leaning on these 2 people y'all see on the screen, my brother Norman, my sisters, my mother.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time doing that. And that's what I'm most thankful for. that I
So
knew that my father gave that to me. I knew how to do that. So I don't know where I was. I
so
knew the
let me
pain.
ask you this real quick, bro.
Yes, sir.
Once you got, to the point where now you got that call from Sus, and you knew that it's game on. It's Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Game 7, game on the line. And you knew you wasn't going to, get a rock to nobody. Wasn't no Scottie Pippins or none of that. Once you got past that and the championship was won, what was that like?
First, it was, because I didn't get the call. My wife got the call. Shauna called. My sister called my wife. We was out. And these two women know me, like y'all know.
Right.
So, Asha's like, I don't know if I could tell this man this.
Mm-hmm.
So Asha told me, yo, pull a car over.
Mm.
So if she put on her big panties to say, pull this over.
The car over, right.
Uh-oh, here we go.
It's about to go down.
Yeah. So she says, me and your sister had been talking. We've been debating on telling you this, but I'm finna tell you. The kids, meaning Cuya and Jasima, have been taken from their mother. And they are in, help me out.
Foster care.
No, they weren't in foster care. Child Protective Services.
Okay.
So I am sort of like, Jalen come back. I am like Lamar when they tell the story of the Google call from Jalen. I have completely failed
Yeah.
my children. So I called Norm. So I'm like venting and about to cry. And because I got people like y'all, Norm like, nigga, what you crying for?
For real.
What you crying for?
Right.
We know where the baby's at.
Hey, I said that to you.
Yeah, you said it too. Yeah, you did say it. We know where they at. And I was like, what?
You
You
good.
know what I'm saying? I snapped out of it.
Yeah.
I snapped out of it like, oh. So all the strategizing I've been doing, bro, it's time to implement.
Right.
First call was to Child Protective Services. Child Protective Services, we kicking it with them. They're like, hold on, call us back in the morning. Call them back in the morning. They like, okay, fly out to DC. So to answer your question, when it became game time, I just felt like I was Michael Jordan and the system was John Starks. Because you ain't prepared for this like I did for 9 years.
Right.
You ain't practiced like I did. You ain't felt like I felt. You ain't felt the loss like I felt the loss. So I already knew that I was going to win.
I'm gonna say it like this, brother. Brother. I mean, we comparing it to Jordan, man, but this was more like Ray Lewis, man. I mean, just that mentality, that you had, that, because it was, Ray Lewis got a speech where, and I want to get to the babies. I want the babies to, but I must say this, and I want, and I want them to look it up. I want y'all to look up Ray Lewis' speech on effort. And my brother gave so much effort that he didn't even take time, or he didn't let us see him feeling sorry for himself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because he could have. Hell, I could have. But in that process, the brother just gave effort, and he was honest with himself. And that takes effort. He was truthful and forgiving of your mothers, and that take effort. The whole situation he was able to look at and see it from an objective view, and that takes effort. So I want y'all to look that speech up. But Jay, I don't mean to cut you off, brother, because I want to hear the baby girl speak, and then I want to hear Big Brother speak last to this.
Guide them through.
Huh?
Might have to guide them through. Might have to ask the question or.
And Jay, I got a
Hold on, you got a question for me?
I got a question after they finish. I got a question for you as well.
No, ask now before they start.
Oh, okay. What emotions did that cause you to have, knowing that they were took from you and you couldn't control the situation?
It was Jalen, it was unbelievable. It was a sense of inferiority because we had an argument. I'll never forget the day I actually got to speak to a well-renowned historian that day. And I was feeling like $1 million. And because we disagreed, she told me these words, and I believe women think this to this day. She said, well, a mother's more important than a father, so it's nothing you could do about it.
Wow.
I will never forget it in my life. And I said, okay. And I remember I just threw the phone. And it was a sense of helplessness because it was nothing I can do about it.
Can I speak?
I was helpless. I felt weak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me answer it, and I don't want to cut nobody off, but I'm going to answer it from my perspective because at that same time, Jalen, that happened between you and I was even going to court over you. You know what I'm saying? And with the court, I'm fighting the court system. And they telling me about what I gotta pay in this. And I'm like, I don't even know where my babies are. You know what I'm saying? I had to tell the judge, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all not gonna get a dime from me till I'm done taking care of my children. So y'all gonna keep arresting me and putting me in jail because you're not gonna get nothing. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just what it was. But let me get and we, like I said, we could guide the baby girl and the little brother through it. Seema, you there?
Ja.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, baby. It's Uncle T. How did it feel growing up without your dad?
I was always curious to what he was like.
Did you ask your mother what he was like?
Yeah.
Did you get answers?
Not a real answer.
Okay, so what kind of answers did you get?
Just like he was a bad guy and stuff.
Like what?
Like he would try to hurt us.
Wow.
So you were told that your dad was a violent guy who would try to harm you.
Yeah.
What other things was said about him?
He didn't care about us and he didn't want to get in contact with us.
Wow.
Okay, now during that process of hearing this stuff, had you ever spoke with your dad?
No.
Okay. Did you ever get an opportunity to speak to your dad when you were in custody of your mom?
No.
How did that make you feel?
I didn't really think about it that much.
So let me ask you this, sweetheart.
I got you got it.
You want to ask her something, Jay?
Yeah, I got a question. Ja, was not thinking about it that much. Were you trying to save your feelings towards him?
No, I just wasn't really that curious.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, sweetie. Okay, so now it comes down. So we know where your thoughts were on that. So when you finally were introduced to your father, what was your immediate reaction to learning that you were about to be with your father, and what were your immediate thoughts in thinking how it would be to be with your father?
I was kind of surprised when they brought us in the room and they told us that your father is downstairs. Do you want to meet him? And it was off guard.
So what did you say when they asked you if you wanted to meet him?
We thought about it and we said, yeah.
Okay. So on your way, because I know how the imagination of a child can be, right? So I want to know, what did you think you were going to see when you saw your father?
Like somebody who's like scary, kind of.
Okay. So when you finally saw your father and you were introduced to him and you saw how he reacted towards you, what did you think and what did you feel?
At the time, he was just staring at me. Like he was sitting in a chair and he was just staring at me. And I was kind of nervous.
Let me jump in here for a second.
Okay, go ahead, brother.
What John them don't know is that I was in court and they were trying to come up to do something, and I didn't let nobody do anything. I told them what was going to be done.
Right.
And they gave me specific instructions because of some of the things that their mother had told them about me.
Okay.
That I could not let them engage.
Okay.
So go ahead, John.
Go ahead, baby.
I was just sitting there nervous and just like thinking about what's next and stuff.
Okay. Okay. Now, because this is your first time, your first true introduction to your father. Did you, and when you finally spoke to him and you heard him speak, how did that make you feel? Just think back. Well, how did it make you feel?
Nervous.
You were nervous when you heard him first?
Yeah.
Okay. Cuya.
Yeah.
So with everything that because I know you have been around your father and before, and I know that
you might not remember that.
No, I know. You may not remember that, but did you get a chance to talk to your father when you wasn't when you
When
weren't
you were still with your mom?
you're still with your mother?
Yeah, I remember vividly talking to my dad. Like we was on the couch and I I just said we're living in a shelter, and after that I didn't really remember the whole conversation, but I remember like when I first came up because my mom's like, your dad's on the phone. So I remember when I first came up to the couch, I was like, I didn't know what to say, so I was just like, we're living in a shelter, and yeah.
Were you coached to talk to your dad by your mom?
No, I wasn't coached.
Okay.
So when you first spoke to him, and you told him you were in the shelter, do you remember his reaction?
I remember like for like a brief moment, he wasn't saying anything. That's about all I could remember.
Okay.
Bro, do you remember that conversation?
Yeah, never forget it. I wasn't on a couch. I was teaching. I was in class. And he called And I said, hold on, hello? And he was like, hey, Dad. And I'm like, froze, like, because I hadn't heard from him. And I said, hey, man. He said, Dad, we in the shelter. And as I said, you're thinking of failure as a man. Here it is, like I'm saying that I bought a house, 5, 6 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And I had kids in a motherfucking shelter.
Right.
So that's what I felt.
Yeah. So, Cuya.
Were you? Oh, you got it.
Oh, wait, Jay,
Yeah.
go-
Where's that?
Were you surprised by them? By the way, that they reacted towards you, and for y'all, were y'all surprised by the way he reacted towards y'all?
Y'all can address it first. You talk
You
about when
talking
we
about
first
like
met, Jalen?
yeah.
Huh?
You talk about when we first met?
Yeah.
When we met back up? Go ahead, Cooley.
Yeah.
At first, I remember us being in a room upstairs, and I remember at first I was like, "Nah, I don't want to see him." So she took the counselor that was in the room with us. She took Decima there first, and then I was thinking for like a moment. I was just like, let me see what he's like. So the other counselor that was there, I told her I wanted to go too, like a little later after. So she took me downstairs, and when I entered the room, it was him and my grandma. So
No. Cooley, when you entered the room, it was your auntie and your grandmother.
Mm.
You met your auntie Shauna and your grandmother first. But go ahead.
mm, and when I first saw him, I don't remember the whole conversation we had when I first saw him. But I remember being hostile at first on purpose. I was being hostile because the things my mom said. I was told he was a very aggressive guy, and I was told that he didn't want my sister, so I was being hostile.
So you can't
And
ready for the smoke. You can't ready for the shit.
yeah,
Ooh, but we don't know. We soon find out.
Right. I ain't know that, son. I ain't know that.
He was
yeah.
about to beat your ass. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
bring your ass on, mister.
Yeah, yeah. So conversation. I don't remember much about the thing. I remember most about the conversation was like easing into him, and finding out about his personality. Was I mean, we was talking about sports, and we was talking about my grandma's favorite team. So we was just bonding over random stuff, and I started to ease in to him and our grandma.
Okay.
So let me ask both of y'all a question. At what
Hold
moment?
on. Jaylen, that's a 2-part question, right? Jaylen, you want to hear my response?
Yeah.
So what these two individuals, T and Lamar knows, I have a very vivid memory. So Kuya, what happened was when I came into the room, you all were arguing about basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And you made a statement. The statement you made, I believe your uncles are gonna laugh.
I think I know what it was.
The statement you made was, "Well, I don't care how you feel. I'm just talking about the facts." That was the statement you made. And when I entered the room when you made that statement. And when you made the statement, Jaylen, because you got social workers and psychologists there in the room. Now, we have a brief meeting with the psychologists and social workers, and we just talking about my perspective on the world so they can see where I'm coming from. And I told her the same line that he had just said. So when I walked in the room and he said it, the psychologist looked at me and I looked at her and I just smiled. So I was a little nervous because I understood what their mother had told them, you know. But Cuya was already like kind of comfortable, it seems, in talking about sports, and so I just joined into that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So after that initial meeting, how did y'all feel about your dad and what was said about him?
I felt after going to our foster parent, I felt like things wasn't adding up because I was told that he was supposed to be someone else. That my mom told me that he was supposed to be someone else and he was a completely different person. So I was confused. Like, was he just like, was he putting on the front? Was he like,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Go ahead.
was he putting up a front, or was that like actually him? It was my mom lying to me.
So
How
what
do
do
you feel, Josh?
hold on, Jay. Hold on, just before
Mm,
you answer that.
Like, I was confused on his personality because he was just like not really the type of guy to like seem like he was a violent person. He was just calm.
Well, Jeffrey Dahmer was calm, but I get it. I get what you said, niece.
So right now, right? Looking at it, and how many years has it been? What, 3?
No, it's been about 5.
What is
About
5?
6, about 5, 6
Yeah.
years.
Shit. Okay. Beautiful. So 5 years. That's right. It was. I was with that lady. But no. So damn, you're right. Okay. Damn, the pandemic kind of like knocked
Yeah,
you
you
off.
got the 2 years, the pandemic years.
Yeah. You forget
Yeah,
about that. So in that process, right? Right now, I mean, right now, after going through all the process and seeing, I don't want to say anyone was a liar. I don't want nobody to say, but were you misled about your father?
Yeah.
No, bro. No, I ain't letting you do that, El.
I knew
We
he
ain't
was gonna
doing
do
that.
it. I knew he was gonna
Hell
do it,
no.
Jalen.
Hell
I knew this
no.
was gonna happen.
Shit,
I
no.
knew this was gonna happen.
You're not about to have my niece and nephew on here lying. Tell the
No,
truth.
let it. No, but don't. Hey, let him answer it, bro. Let him answer.
What was
Tell
just
your
said?
truth.
I
I don't want
couldn't
to hear
hear.
no bullshit. Tell your truth.
Were you misled about your father?
Okay.
Yes, I was misled about my father.
Okay. Jessima, were you misled about your father?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now,
I wasn't. And wait. But no, though I wasn't, and I was. So it was both of me.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, you can't
Oh,
leave it there, Jay.
Okay, why
oh,
throw the pitch, man?
it was like okay, when she was like he wasn't trying, I was misled that way, but the other way was like where I wasn't misled was when she was like we the same. Like we look the same, we talk the same, act the same. I was
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, buddy, I got you.
Right, natural jerk.
Yeah,
So
you just
Yup.
born to be an asshole.
that's
Born
it.
to be an asshole.
That's it, baby.
That's
He's an
it.
asshole. Asshole, like that baby.
Asshole Junior.
Asshole. So no, Jessima and Jakuya. Let me say this to you guys. I'm really, really glad that you guys got on here. And I'm really, how can I put this?
Before you say that, El, because it sounds like you about to be conclusive with this. Before you say that right there.
I'm not about to be conclusive at all. But I'm just gonna say to them
Bro
that
got some shit to ask, man. He an asshole.
I'm really proud of them. I'm really, just so I can't wait to see you guys, in full bloom. Because even listening to you guys, there is so much there. There is so much there that I know is waiting to come out, that's waiting to be born. And I think that y'all are gonna be some little brilliant people. Jacuya, I haven't had a chance to meet Jasima, but I had a chance to meet Jacuya. I had the privilege of cutting his hair and sharing that time with him. And I really just from one man who was misled by his father to another young man who was misled about his father. I'm sorry, misled about his father to another young man that was misled about his father. Is when you fully grasp and immerse yourself into your manhood by way of your father, brother, I'm telling you, there is something that is there in you that I can't wait to see. And just listening to you, whatever it is you're gonna say, girl, you're gonna say it loud, and you're gonna say it hard. And I know you will, and you're gonna be real with it. So I just want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Jay, you're a dick, and I'm glad your kids didn't get a chance to see that side. But no, other than that, man.
Shit. Bullshit.
Hey, look. Can I tell y'all a story about y'all dad?
Yeah.
All right, so look.
And here we go with this bullshit, man.
Got to. So listen.
Man, Ja already got a fetish for me getting beat up. She got a fetish.
No, look.
It's the finger in the forehead for me.
No, I'm gonna tell you this though. Here's a story about your dad, right? So me and your dad, we used to hang like your dad. He always teased me about being like, man, you too artistic, man. You do this and you do that. You just like to let your artists come out. And I'm like, when I met your dad, remember when I met your dad? But when me and your dad became really close, your dad wore dreads and smelled like patchouli oil. So and chewed on a ginseng stick. But he talks about me being artistic, right? That motherfucker smelled like a library. You know what I mean? So
my library smelled like dog.
Hey, how that smell?
What are you wearing? Oh, that's librarian.
No, I appreciate you guys coming on here. I appreciate your courage and everything, y'all. But go
listen, niece and nephew, I got one more question for y'all, man. You know y'all uncle always with the shit. Do you ever want to leave your dad again?
No.
When I'm older, yeah, but like
Hey, that's a smart answer, nephew. That's a smart answer.
No, but the baby girl gave the proper answer that you would expect the daughter to give.
Shit, no, I ain't going nowhere. That's my daddy.
My daddy, he gave an answer that like.
Let me ask my Cubs a question. What has been the most difficult thing to deal with from you all's point of view since we have reunited?
for me, the most difficult thing was probably the change of being taught from my mom to my dad of how to be raised and how to grow up to be an adult.
So the preparation for adulthood.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
before you answer, Ja.
Ooh.
Cuya and I, you probably don't remember this, Cool. I sold this to your uncle Lamar, I think, and your Uncle T. It was one of the few times you said something that I was like, all right, man. And you walked away, and I just fell out, like I had a tantrum. Like, I mean, I was just like, my kids just knocked me out. Like, And you told me, I was like, what's the problem, man? Like, what's going on? And you said, I'm not used to being, you said, I'm not used to being talked to by a man.
Yeah.
And it was just a checkmate. Like, there's nothing
Nigga,
else to be said.
leave me alone. I ain't
So,
used to this shit.
so what about you, John? What is this some of the most difficult things to transpire during our reunion for you?
Like being criticized and stuff, like learning how to answer questions.
So that translates into having your ego checked.
Mm-hmm.
That's your dad for you. Your dad go, your dad, you know, that's how we do it. So listen, y'all.
Hold on.
Okay, because we need to get to tea because I don't want the time to run out on.
Okay, give me. Let me tell the most difficult
Okay.
thing for me to my babies.
Yes, sir.
The most difficult thing is to understand and respect the time that was lost and to fit that into my overall ideology and raising you. It's so hard to figure out sometimes because like I can't be a certain way with Cuya because Cuya ain't been with me nothing but 5 years. Jakai been with me all his life. So the terminology, the hearing, raising of the voice, the how I operate as the leader, that's all he's known. And as my son said, like it's an adjustment. And sometimes watching him make the adjustment is like, fuck, am I putting too much on the plate? Remember, I told you in the beginning, my father was a genius at learning how to put the pressure on, learning how to put the pressure on. So that's one of the most difficult things. And from an ideological standpoint, is getting these two, Ja and Cuya, to open their mouths.
Yeah.
Not to be rebellious, but to say, I'm here and I think this. And Dad, you're wrong. I don't believe this. This is why I don't. And like Cuya said, he told me, well, my mama just did. You force us to think for ourselves. And that was the thing, you know what I mean? So that's what I just wanted to share. So go ahead, bro.
That's beautiful.
Hey, man, I ain't got nothing else. That's it. I mean, that's it right there in a nutshell. Just being able to be in a place, man, where you can be a man and still be human. You know what I'm saying? That's it's one of the most beautiful places for a person to be. Anybody. To be a woman and still be a human. Be seen as a human.